my name is Reenah Sun. Usually you hear me saying I'm calling from Australia, like it's some far place tucked away in the corner. Today I'm proud to say I'm calling to Australia. I'm going to be talking to one of our most revered and one of our most honoured and inspirational female teachers and female leader and awakened woman, Isira. Please help me welcome Isira.
Namaste. It's so beautiful to see you. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's wonderful to share with you.
I birthed my first daughter on the ocean, and before I birthed her, I did what was called underwater rebirthing, whereby I went under in a tea tree lake, submerged underwater with a snorkel and just doing breathing to bond with this embryo inside my belly. And that just seemed to bring up so many stories being underwater that somehow when they were seen, they diffused, which enabled a great trust for the birthing of my child. I gave birth to her miles away from anywhere, in the rainforest with my midwife. And it was a very beautiful experience. So it wasn't received as pain. I didn't receive it as a pain. Rather, it was like a real powerful rebirthing. And I know so many people can put a lot of meaning onto confusion or onto pain, and really it's just a matter of how we receive that.
Right, and actually it's beautiful that you make this particular point, that you did not experience that process as pain. Likewise, I've been in many circumstances where, you know, in the usual sense, most people would be completely astounded as to how there was not pain. You may be familiar with one of the historical accounts of my life earlier being at the hands of a murderer, a man who was raping me and murdering me. I was in a state of such absolute oneness that I was transcendent of what would usually be perceived of as pain. And likewise, the body healed in what would be called a miraculous way. Usually, if there's an identification with pain, of course, you would see a very scarred woman sitting here. But this quality of being able to transcend the pain, again, is very powerfully present within women. And this is what I was pointing to before, is that the more deeply we sit in presence with whatever has arisen, whether we see that initially as confusion or potentially as pain, such as giving birth, if we merge with it, if we allow ourselves to be so deeply present with it that there is no resistance and there is no sense of a dissociation, that we're something separate from it, we move into a place that is blissful, actually. We move into a place that is so pure and so sweet and so gentle and so powerful. And that's the key. For women, it is that knowing, that innate trust that actually within us is that natural way to just be completely present with what is, without resistance.
Yes, it's like our body just opens up to feelings, to allow it all to just come through and move through us without making it anything. This is certainly a power for women, so to speak. And how can we, how does this translate into society then? Like, how can we bring this feminine power into our societal structures?
Well, it's really actually asking us to approach ourselves and approach each other and approach what we see as our future or our problems, in a totally different way, rather than approaching it with the same mental efforting to hold on to structure, to hold on to the systems we have or that we know. It's asking us to actually to surrender to a place of not knowing, to make the space for that in our interactions in every way. And I have to say, I'm really so full of joy to see that there is even a huge shift occurring in the corporate world. I've actually been invited to step a bit more into the corporate world, to speak of this power, to speak of this quality that can take us to a different level, a different stage in our journey. And what does it pivot around? Well, it actually pivots around meditation. That's what we need to bring into our workplace, into our education, into our relationships, into our personal strategies with life. Is that time to be still, to go within, to reflect, to allow the letting go, to allow the letting down, to allow the dismantling, allow the passage of not knowing, in order for whatever is old and outmoded and truly is conditioned that doesn't serve us in the now, for that just to fall away. And in the space that's left, in that silence, in that space of quietness and openness, whatever is true makes itself known. Whatever, and what I mean by true, I don't mean true as in concept, I mean true as in existential. What is true to us here now? What is true to us in the nature of existence? What is true to this moment, transforming and emerging and being birthed into something new? It's not going to be done the way it was before, is it? At all. It's not going to show us the same pattern, the same picture. It's going to be something
Do we have to speak of where women give their power away?
It comes back to that shared story we were talking about before, the collective story and the conditions that are still yet to be shed or yet to be processed. I mean, it's very evident that women are giving their power away in every sector of life, personally, within relationships, within community, within workplace, within world views. By and large, mostly women are giving their power away. Again, simply because the collective story is one of oppression. It is one of recrimination and mistrust and devaluation of what a woman is here to contribute at every one of those levels. Certainly it is not the same as it has been, yet if we look at it in the larger context, it's still quite dominating. And I see it, for example, as I was mentioning before, that a woman will, in her effort to be taken into account, will display or take on behaviours that are more masculine just to be acknowledged, to be accepted. That's actually giving away her true power.
Yes, it is. It's not like we're trying to become equal with man. Really, we just want to step more into who we really are.
Right. Absolutely. And that comes back to, as I was saying before, authenticity. That's the question mark in all of this for a woman. If a woman is wanting to ask herself, am I giving my power away? How am I giving my power away? How can I reclaim my true power? And how can I be an example of my true power? The question is authenticity. How can I be authentic to that which I am?
How can I reclaim it, or how can women reclaim it, so to speak, without making a fight out of it?
By first embracing herself, which is why I keep coming back to authenticity. When a woman understands that her capacity actually to go in and stand first in her solitude, to stand first in her darkness, and actually to do so with other women as well. You know, let's not forget the power of sisterhood. Let's not forget that power of the dark moon circle, you know, that when we enter into that space together, to sit in that presence of darkness and stillness and silence, we are birthing something within ourselves. We're welcoming something within ourselves. And once we're able to stand truly in ourselves, in everything that we've been carrying, and be present to it with awareness, then certainly we will have that sense of faith and trust in our own being. We can't cultivate that faith and trust if we're looking outside, if we're thinking we have to do something out there in order to be accepted out there. That's the irony. We say we want to step forward and be accepted out there and have a bigger role out there. But if we haven't got the in here in order, it's never going to come from the right place. It's not going to happen in the right way. That connection is waiting on this connection.
Do you ever speak to women's groups?
I have done, yes. And actually, interestingly, I mentioned to you that the most recent article that has been published that I wrote not so long ago, I think it's actually circulating out now, the Inner Self magazine, is all about a feminine emergence. So I'm oftentimes asked to speak on the topic. I've been invited to festivals that are actually a complete celebration and honouring of the feminine. And I guess in some regard, I feel that the very fact that I did choose to be embodied as a woman in this incarnation is actually the demonstration. It is the ultimate voice of this message and this invitation for women to step up and be present as the power that we truly are.
So when we find this authenticity, we find a dream that's ours, not an idea of a dream, but a dream that's ours, and we can find a vision.
Truly. And if we look at every woman's vision, and if we listen to every woman's voice, we'll actually hear the same thing resonating through, which is that desire for a world of greater harmony, for families to be in greater harmony, for our relationships to be in greater harmony. It's all about that vision for inclusiveness, not dominance. It's not about dominance. That's the woman's vision. Okay, sure, progress. Progress is a wonderful thing. We will continue to progress. Yet if it is not based in love and equanimity and the opportunity for the well-being of the whole, really it amounts to nothing. Because the only thing we leave behind when each moment is finished, when these bodies are finished, the only thing we leave behind is how much we have loved. That's it. And that's the thread, that's the common thread between every woman, behind every woman's vision. That is it.
We receive ourselves as not knowing, and yet when we get into an institution, somehow it needs to be written down.
The feminine quality of flowing or receptivity, intuition, etc., is not without its voice. It's certainly not without its form or its expression, which means that equally the feminine quality can be written and shared through words and shared through, again, also, I guess, conceptual material that provides a framework for other people to contemplate or to follow. I guess I refer to my own experience again. One of the things I spend the most time doing is actually writing. And I mean, words are simply a vehicle. Words do not belong to the masculine or the feminine energies as an isolated thing. Words are a vehicle to express either that which is feminine in quality, or that which is masculine in quality, or that which is actually unified, that which is a beautiful expression of a crystallized wholeness, a crystallized human being.
So the feminine quality can have a conversation for possibilities.
Oh, absolutely. It is why I do have such a great love and passion for sharing. As much as I could share in silence, I love the silence. I love sitting in the silence. And there's certainly a great amount that can be felt and realized just by sharing silence. The mind does need growth. It needs fuel to feed its growth. And words, whether written or spoken, can be that fuel. Words can be powerful. Words can be clearly pointing to a presence, an opportunity, a way within us and a way with each other.
So a conversation for possibilities can be a gateway for creation.
Absolutely. If we think about how we function as a human being, we are energetic, we are sensing beings, so we sense vibration, we sense energy. Words themselves are vibration, are energy. In terms of how we assimilate that, we are cognitive. We are beings of consciousness. How we operate is through different levels of consciousness.
We assimilate it with distinctions.
Exactly. And words are actually the catalyst for us to take that journey through different levels of distinction and ultimately to come to a place of assimilation or attunement to an inner knowingness of that. So words are an interface, a very, very important interface. Again, why I am more than willing to say, look, I'm committed to sharing with you all in words and not just sit there in silence, because I am wanting to inspire you to expand your awareness, to contemplate in a different way.
So the words are an interface between knowing and action.
Absolutely. Well, actually, they're an interface between, first of all, concept, possibility, consideration. Those words invite us to consider new possibilities, new ways of looking at things, other ways of expressing or experiencing. Okay, so it's conceptual first. From that, we take on a different direction of perception and reflection. From that, we may gain a different stance of assimilation, how we take on that experience ourselves, and that then becomes experience and knowing as we take it on. And once we have experience and knowing, it becomes action. And that action affirms what was originally simply a possibility. So words are really very powerful.
Yes, indeed. This is my discovery also. You know, for so long I didn't use words because I would, being such a strong feeler, somehow I had a belief that if I went too deeply into words, it would create a separation between what's here now and the experiencing. But actually, it sort of turned out that the more I articulate and the more I use words, that somehow the deeper the embodiment of what is here now, because a lot of the feelings that were running through were not really true, and they were just there and they were just lingering, and by giving them a word I could feel, yes, this is true or this is not true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it was a process of reflection for you as well.
Yes.
Refining and clarifying.
So what we're putting out really is that women can step out and come forward and can find this vision.
You know, I've really emphasized the particular word authenticity, but I guess now also I want to emphasize the word trust and what is required of us to cultivate that state of trust in ourselves, trust in our innate power and the gift of our feminine qualities. And that trust comes from a place of familiarity in ourselves, a place of connectedness in ourselves, which means that if we don't have that space and time to be in touch with ourselves, and whether that means we're writing in a journal every day, or we're talking with a friend, a loved one, a sister, or whether we are meditating, it is about redefining that relationship with ourselves and stepping more and more deeply into that relationship with ourselves, so that we know who we truly are at our innermost being, rather than knowing ourselves based on conditions and expectations of society. Once we make contact with our true expression, our true essence, we can then liberate that. We can then become, a freely expressing presence.
So is integrity an important part of this trust, like, an integrity to stand by this trust?
Absolutely. And so that's where authenticity comes back into the scene as well, is that, if we're putting trust in something which is conditionally based, then we're not going to have integrity at all. If we're putting trust in our authentic self, we are going to have a very powerful, very natural integrity. And it is very resonant. Again, it's what people can feel. They can sense that, wait, this is real. This isn't something fabricated. I'm really seeing and meeting this woman as she is.
Yeah, we can call this integrity of the heart.
Right. And I just wanted to comment too on that note that our judgments and expectations of what entails beauty, what entails something that can be appreciated and acknowledged, has become so profoundly distorted, women are constantly looking at all these magazines of so-called idols that are completely airbrushed. They're not even real images, for example. No. And what's happened to our rites of passage? That at every stage of our life, there are inherent qualities of power and beauty at every stage of our life. It's important we are in touch with that in ourselves, not just as an individual, but as a community. Again, why it's so important for women to share together, to reclaim the power and the beauty of uniqueness, individuality, the beauty being present and reflected in every single woman, no matter what her shape, her size, her age. And at every single stage of our life, there's something that is inherently there as part of our functioning. It's actually needed for our society to function and flourish, not just to exist, to flourish. And that's another beautiful quality or power of women, is that capacity to bring vibrance to life. In a sense, men are like the tree trunk and women are like all the flowers on the branches. There's this vibrance that we bring into the world.
When women find their freedom, men are actually unburdened. That's what we're discovering too.
Absolutely. Again, quite an ironic or a paradoxical truth, because there's such a deeply rooted belief and perception that men must be the protectors, men must be the providers. And as a result, men are themselves living in this very conditioned perception of themselves and their role within the world or with women, and taking that on to the extreme, to the point that it is actually dangerous. And you're right, yes, when women do step forward in their power, it does release that burden for men, that men become more at ease. They realise that actually the woman is contributing something significant. He doesn't have to be trying all the time. He doesn't have to do everything and know everything all the time.
They can come and rest in the world, you know, rest as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest knowing that it is filled with love and gentleness and nurturing and beauty.
So rest means their mind will slow down and come to peace.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And another beautiful thing is we talk about this flow-on effect, that when a woman stands in her power, it equally eases the burden of men. In the same way, when a woman reclaims her own authenticity, it actually gives the space for the feminine quality within the man to flourish. If a woman is owning that story of oppression and she's continuing that cycle of suppressing herself, she actually keeps that feminine power, that quality that is soft within the man, at bay. So there are so many flow-on effects that can bring enormous transformation, not just to ourselves, but to each other and ultimately to the world, as we do say, it's time. It really is time to say, yes, we are woman. Yes, we are a power and a presence that is here for this journey forward in the world now.
No more blaming, no more victimhood.
Absolutely not. And by the way, a woman standing in her power is not about the journey, the voice of discrediting men. There's a lot of mistaken beliefs and behaviours and movements in the world that actually, in the effort to reclaim the power of women, are discrediting men. They're putting shame upon our men. That's not true power and authority of woman. Woman does not create shame. Woman does create honor and respect and unity.
I lived I lived on a community, and we supported each other as women. And it's really interesting because, you know, for a long time, even before, say, Barry Long's teachings came out, you may be familiar with him being an Australian, we always felt that, or it was in our experience, that we were a real presence for man, and at least this was our experience, and that we would be strongly present for just where he is now, in receiving him how he is, without expecting anything from him in order to heal ourselves, so to speak. But we could just simply be a space for him. And then I very much respect a man who comes along then and says, well, who calls men to presence and says, well, you need to be a presence for women. I, you know, ultimately it doesn't matter who's the presence for who, but certainly to drop any expectations of receiving a healing from the other.
Absolutely. And
it's just one movement, you know, it's just one movement.
Always. It always is. If we look at it at the deepest level, there really is only one being. We're just different aspects of the same one being, that same one being constantly in motion, constantly evolving, constantly being the presence that is now. And our ability to know that, to experience that most deeply, it does revolve around the letting go of the conditions. It does revolve around a returning to the presence, the power of what is here now. You know, people ask me so often, when there's the concept of being authentic or being true, being awake, being love, etc., there's always still the question, oh, but how? And as I say, well, the how is always now. There's nowhere else. And, oh, but where? Well, the where is always here. There is nowhere else. There is not there. There is only here. And if we really stop and open ourselves to the now, to ourself that is here in the now, we will come to that place of awareness. And as I said before, if we're in that place of awareness, conditions can't follow us in there.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. That here the conditions just have no power over us, because when we stop here, really they just exist as a memory or a thought. And somehow they have so much grab still, you know, and we're so tempted to run with them.
And that's largely the over-identification with the form, you know, the idea that somehow we are a fixed form, we're a fixed moment, instead of that we are actually no time, and at the same time that beingness that is no time, no local place is in a continuum from the here.
It's like the past is a temptation structure, you know. We just keep going down that road. Why do we just keep going down that road?
That's to do with that condition of wanting what is known, wanting what is familiar, in the sense of what we know we have experienced, what we know we've been able to define, because it represents security, which is ludicrous, because if you really look at existence, the way existence truly is, nothing is safe. The clouds are in danger of becoming the river is in danger of becoming the ocean, the mind is in danger of becoming silence is in danger of becoming a song. You know, everything is in danger in every moment because it's not fixed. If we look at it honestly, there is no security in structure. And that is why it's such a ludicrous game, a ludicrous illusion, that there's this misnomer that somehow one can be safer and more secure if I just hold on to that memory of the past, and if I just hold on to that behavior or that condition, it's easier, I'll be more comfortable.
We so much live in this perceived security. You know, our whole life is built around a perceived security, telling ourselves, well, I'm going to live this way or I'm going to act this way because it's going to, we try to fix everything.
Yeah. Again, as if somehow something can be made permanent. And the irony is, when we let go of all of that and realize the true nature of this level of existence, that it is impermanent, it is transient, we actually awaken to the permanence of ourself. And if we awaken to the permanence of our self, consciousness is forever. It is that which cannot be stamped out, that which is never stamped, because it just is always being. And if we awaken to this, we have truly security. How can you be anything but feeling profoundly safe, profoundly sure and certain of existence, when you know that you are always here, you are always this which is?
You remind us of the beauty.
And it is the beauty. It truly is the beauty. That's the wonder when we are present in this way. The dance of impermanence is truly magical and beautiful in every way. And there is no darkness, there is no inside, outside, there is no this, that. It's the one great play.
So I hardly want to talk about a vision, because it's something that has to be created in the moment. Something that is so spontaneous, alive.
And again, here is a paradox, because as I mentioned before, although in our true essence we're timeless, we are no time, we are only ever being. In this level of experience, manifestation, there is also continuum. Not in the linear, literal sense that most people perceive, and yet still strongly we do have continuum. So we are not just being full stop, we are being and becoming. In every single moment, we are being and becoming. And if we look at what is becoming, it is a product of what is imbued in the now. How are we being now is what reveals what is becoming. It's the very essence of what catalyzes whatever we will see or experience in the next now. So if we talk about vision, and what is the key for us to live the vision in our greatest potential? And for example, in this instance, what is the vision for women? If we come back to this cultivation of trust in our inherent qualities, which asks us to be authentic to ourselves, if we can cultivate this, then we will be very present in the now, truly as the expression that is one of love and transformation and openness and receptivity and intuition and creativity, etc. We will imbue our living moment with these qualities. And by imbuing this in the now, we create a future of this. Which all comes back to love, doesn't it?
Yes. Indeed it does. We talked about a lot of great things today, Isira. And
it's been a great joy and a true honour. Thank you so much. And my deepest love to everyone who may be watching this, and my encouragement and gratitude for each and every one to be embracing authentically ourselves and to being present in the world as this, to allow and express the love that we are.
To bring themselves to this challenge. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.